Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft, and we have a special guest.
So it turns out it was just a fungal infection, and it's quite common in men my age. So the rash. Oh, hey, Brian, can you edit that out?
No,
Why?
We're fucking live.
We are live, baby.
We are live right now. I don't know.
In living color.
We are in living color. I don't know if we got any people. I don't think we have anyone listening right now, but that's okay.
We'll get them in.
We'll get them in.
Yeah.
This is a very special episode because we are live right now recording. We are also live at the Erie Horror Fest.
We are officially super important people again.
We got badges. We got badges. We have badges. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about something that I personally did not want to really do an episode on.
Well, that'll get everybody involved, Brian.
Sorry. Sorry, but we're talking about the 2024, if you will, remake of The Crow.
We're talking about kind of both.
And both. Yeah, we're kind of talking about
kind of Crow versus No.
Yeah, Crow versus No. That's a good one to go with.
That's clever.
It's a good one to go with. It's Crow versus No. And, of course, our live stream is having fun. But that's okay. If this doesn't work, we're going to record it anyway.
We'll try our best.
That's all right. We'll try our best. You know, internet's fun.
Thank you guys for having me.
That's all right. We're recording it either way, though. It's being video done.
Yeah, but, who the hell are you?
Yeah, who are you?
Hello, I am Christine Starkey. I'm an actor, writer, cancer survivor, metastatic breast cancer thriver for the rest of my life. But someone who loves the arts and is a big supporter of talking about things like what we're doing here because The Crow, 1994, is one of my favorite films. So I'm excited to be talking about that. And, also what I feel to be 2024 is just a huge mistake in what this film should have been and it just is, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, no, it was just, here's the thing. We did a review of the trailer, right? Like
yeah, I heard that.
Okay, so we did the review of the trailer.
I was so upset about it too.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
But we did a review of the trailer.
We're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that. And personally, I didn't want to review the movie. I didn't want to. Why? Because it required that I watch it. And like I am one of those
chestnut.
Well, I'm one of those.
You have to watch it to review it. Yeah.
Well, I'm one of those ones that like I didn't want to see this one because I felt that there was no need to make this movie. Like there literally was no need at all to make this film because we got it done right in '94. And I'm not someone who's against remakes at all.
You are against this one, though.
I am against this one for a lot of reasons. But
do tell.
We got time.
Well, okay. Wait. Let's back up the truck.
Is this gonna be fighting rules? Are we gonna be fighting around the world right now?
I'll be Mills Lane.
I mean, I don't think you and I disagree too much about our feelings about the new film, but we do disagree about our feelings, though.
All right. Let me draw the line here.
John, you be referee here.
So yes. Now, Christine, this is one of your two favorite films of all time, the 1994 version.
Yes.
Yeah, you love The Crow. You've read the graphic novel.
Yeah.
Brian,
love it.
You also very much, I wouldn't say it's one of your favorite films of all time.
It's not one of my favorites.
But you very much enjoy it.
Microphone. Make sure you're talking to the microphone.
It's my Mount Everest, man.
Yeah. And you've read, the graphic novel.
I own the graphic novel, yes.
As do I.
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the middle because I am the co-host, but also I
am trying to make sure that no one gets punches aren't thrown.
But I am.
You got rings.
Yeah.
So do you.
But I am
I'm a
somebody who.
Being.
Yeah. I am somebody that doesn't. I did not read the graphic novel.
Yeah.
I was like, I could take or leave the original.
Okay.
And yeah, I thought the remake was meh, but I also had no stakes going into it.
Fair enough. Okay, so you want my reasons?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so here's my reasons. For me, The Crow, and this is something that not a lot of people know. I don't think you guys know this. The Crow was one of the rare movies that actually scared me.
Yeah.
That's something that is not a lot of people know that. Okay?
Do tell. What?
I don't know. It was the gothic imagery, the haunting, kind of music that went along with it.
Yes.
And I mean, on top of that, like, you realize that this is a movie where the main actor died making it. It just had a mystique about it that was actually something that was scary. And granted, like, it came out in 94, so I was around probably 9 years old, okay, when it came out. So, like, it always had that kind of mystique to me that it was kind of scary, and it was a movie that I did find a little frightening. So, like, there are not a lot of movies that do that. Like, we've mentioned before, like, Edward Scissorhands, there's one shot in the whole film that still scares the fuck hell of me, But, so there's that part. It has a personal attachment to me. Outside of that, as a filmmaker, I love the visuals that Alex Proyas was able to create with that film so much. And I think it is well worth saying that those visuals influence goth culture and still do to this day.
No argument here.
Okay?
Okay,
so that's it. Okay. On top of that, going back to this, Brandon Lee died making this movie. Okay. This movie was set to be the thing that pushes him past making just kung fu films. Okay. Now, not a lot.
Very serious about it in the interviews.
Yeah. Oh no, he knew exactly the type of movie he was making. He knew that this was something special.
Dedicated actor.
Yes, he was very dedicated. So he knew exactly the type of movie he was making, and ultimately, it ended up coming fruition where it did make him a superstar. Just unfortunately, done through the way of him accidentally dying. So when I hear that they're making a remake, and then as they started making the remake, and here's the truth of the matter, this has been a film that has been in development hell for like nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
2008 is, I think, when I saw that it was first announced. But it's a movie that I don't think anyone really wanted, because that movie, with the fans involved, they've grown so attached to it. And yes, it is different than the graphic novel. I think people recognize that. But just like with, myself and John with Batman 89, it's very different from the comic books. But we're okay with that because we've grown attached to it. The Crow from 94 has a fan base. People have grown attached to it. They have their own reasons why they love it. And I think that when you hear Remake in 2008 and when you hear Remake in 2024, it still reads the same as cash grab. And I go back to this, and this is the most important part here. I got one more point, and then I'm going to let you go, okay?
And then I'm going to let him go. And then
Well, you talk to the microphone. We can't hear you.
Then I'm going to let him go.
Okay.
And then we'll talk to me.
Okay. So
Sorry.
Here is my big point here. We have been taught that the reason why Hollywood is making these remakes is because, one, they've got IPs, and two, they're relying on the lowest common denominator, which is established fan bases. And when you've got a movie that the established fan base doesn't want anything to do with, you don't make that movie.
Well, Brian, is there something to be said that if something is more accurate, and I'm not saying, because I can't, because I've never read the graphic novels, that so I'm not saying that this recent one that came out this year is more accurate to the graphic novels, but is there something to be said that if something is closer to the actual source material? Because I look at Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and it diverges quite a bit from the Roald Dahl Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that at first, I had no problem with Tim Burton remaking that if it's going to be more honest to the source material. So that, I mean, it ended up being a mess in and of itself, but we don't need to go down that road. But, you know, Total Recall with the Arnold Schwarzenegger version diverts so far from the actual story.
So good, though.
You know, like, I wouldn't have a problem with if they remade Running Man and actually based it on the Stephen King short story, because the Running Man with Arnold has nothing to do with it. So there is something to be said that it's not just necessarily, I mean, it is quite often that it's just we have the IP, this is an established character that we like, that maybe it's a different interpretation that might be closer to the original source material. And I'll give you another example. I want them to remake The Mask so badly and have it be the dark, frightening version of the original graphic novel.
Here's what I'll cut back with you with.
Yeah.
Did anyone in any of those movies become so synonymous with that character and then die while making them?
Well, Heath Ledger died shortly after The Dark Knight. Do you think there should ever be another Joker?
No, because the Joker is a different beast. The Joker has been, here's the reason why. The Joker has been so interpreted so many times. I view him in the same realm as like Batman and the different actors that play him. The reason I say is that Brandon Lee became so synonymous with that character.
No,
because there's only been one interpretation of it at that point, and he,
I think
he
that's
unfortunately died on set.
I think that point alone is a disservice to the actors who have played Joker, and the ones before.
I'll give disservice to Jared Leto every day. I don't care.
Oh, no. No, we're not going to talk about that one.
I'm just saying.
We're not going to talk about... No,
I'm just saying.
I mean, if we can, we can. But, I mean, it's a disservice to the great Jokers before Heath Ledger and the one immediately after Heath Ledger again, the one that won an Academy Award. Yeah. I know Heath Ledger won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, but Joaquin Phoenix won for Best Actor for portraying the Joker. And it's like they all played it very, very well. Now, we can get into sequels if we want to, but there's more than one Crow sequel, too. But it's like... you know, the thing that I have a problem with is why are you saying we can't like do this specific piece or a remake of this specific piece? Because it's reaching new audiences, you know? I
have a problem. Like, I think The Crow is a different beast than all these other properties. I really do.
In a way, and I agree to a certain extent.
Here's the reason why I think a lot of it does matter, okay? The character of The Crow is about a person who dies and comes back to life. The person who made the movie, the person who embodied that character, died while making the movie. It is art reflecting life to some degree. And I don't think you can make the same argument with Heath Ledger and the Joker, okay? You just can't.
That's my fault. I brought that up, yeah.
Well, it is a little bit, like, different how Heath Ledger died and his, connections to The Dark Knight versus, Brandon Lee actually, dying on set through a very tragic accident. And
I mean, I would call it negligence.
Yeah.
Negligence.
Absolutely. And
that we're still dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Oh, gosh. Exactly.
I'm looking at you, Alec Baldwin.
Least we forget.
Alec Baldwin.
We forget. We should not forget about that.
No.
And, I was talking about it when the whole Alec Baldwin situation came up. But the thing is, I'm a huge fan of The Crow, and I will say this. Let me give you my Crow story. That's one of my favorite movies. I was very young when the movie came out. It was in 1994, so I was in the first grade. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I did, because I was like very much like, I would wake up before my parents did, and I would, just go and I'd see what was on TV. And I had, what was it? HBO and what was the thing at the time?
Cinemax.
Cinemax, yeah. So I don't know if it was one or the other, but I remember
used cable to raise you. Was what you're saying?
That's we all wear that. That's our generation.
That's also the situation. But I remember just watching it one day early in the morning, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna watch this. And I was so young at the time. Again, I must have been in either first, second, or third grade, because again, the movie came out when I think I was in the first grade, and I just remember watching it and just again being very emotionally attached to it, and it could have been for any number of reasons. I was very young, but I also was not somebody who was very, would turn away from something without watching it the whole way through and really just kind of questioning it or accepting it for what it is, this, that, or the other thing. And in the case of The Crow, in 1994, I was just completely engrossed from beginning to end. I understood it at a young age I was at, but it was so emotional to me at such a young age that it was like, this is what love is. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a dark, 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 dark story about it. It's completely, but that's the thing about it. It's completely unique.
Yeah.
And for me at such a young age, I didn't know that. Again, this was me in the early stage of understanding it. So later on, I would read the graphic novel and be like, wow, this is so much different than the movie. Yeah. And, I loved it for a completely different reason. And, I do love a lot of work from page to screen where it's sometimes in cases where you do a page to screen and it's exactly like the book, those end up being really, really great too. But we have cases in this situation like Dune that changes certain things, but now look at it on the big screen and it's amazing. And I feel that's the situation with The Crow. It's in 1994 they made it what it was. They set out to do this movie, and the author at the time agreed to it. He actually plays a bit part in the movie, and since then he's agreed to do other comic book related stuff that he didn't write, but he signs off on it because it reaches to all these people. And that's kind of why it's even though The Crow is my favorite movie, that I didn't see a problem with a reboot in that way because it's reaching to new people.
I'm a cynical asshole, though. That's why. Well, that's my problem.
Christine, let me ask you, did you have any trepidations with the fact that Brandon Lee died senselessly making the original for them to make it again?
Well,
or actually, I'll even go further on that. Did either of you have any problem with the sequels that came out before the remake?
Yeah. So the thing with me is, again, I was very young when I saw it on TV, and we didn't really exactly grow up with the internet when we were younger. I didn't really delve into the internet that much until I was in middle school. So I just accepted The Crow for what it is. And it was just one of those movies I would say that was up there. Again, just discovering it. So it wasn't until I think I was actually in maybe my freshman year of high school that I just kind of looked it up on IMDb and was like, oh, Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee. I was never a fan of Bruce Lee, so I never knew. And it's like, what the fuck? Because I knew, again, a little bit about how Bruce Lee died and all of kind of what he was about. But again, I wasn't a fan. Then I learned that just via the internet. I was like, shit. Wow. Because I never saw Brandon Lee in anything other than The Crow.
Right.
And it's like, that's so sad.
Yeah.
But I'm glad with, the situation being what it was that they got to finish the film. But also, it's so amazing how, once you have information, you can never look back the same way on it again.
Yeah.
Which is weird for me that I went so many years seeing The Crow 1994 just for how I viewed it. And then all of a sudden I have this knowledge about Brandon Lee, and it's like, oh, wow, that just adds new meaning onto it. But again, even with that knowledge, I wasn't about oh, these Crow sequels shouldn't have happened. First of all, the second Crow sequel was very, very heavily edited in a bad way. I would love to see the director's cut of that.
Here's the thing. Hot take here.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind City of Angels. Now, here's the thing.
It's heavily edited. I want to see the director's cut.
It has grown on me over time. When it first came out and I saw it, I was like, this is garbage. But I think that it's a different style of, I want to say it's a time capsule of alternative punk culture at that time period.
I mean, wasn't the first movie too with the whole?
It was, but it was
goth
like
Columbine-esque.
Yeah, but it was 94, early 90s punk culture. Like that's what that one was.
I mean, City of
Angels.
Angels was before Columbine too.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But that
It was
kind of
before the Yellow Ranger died.
Yeah.
The Yellow Ranger was in
Power
the second one.
No, but how is it okay to make a sequel and character?
Because there's no
continue?
Eric Draven in it.
So if they had done this remake,
You know,
but
Eric
not called
Draven in the
Eric
comic
Draven.
is very heavily different than the
I
Eric Draven in
understand
the
that.
movie,
I
right?
understand that.
And he's heavily different than the Eric Draven we saw in 2024.
Correct. But
They're all different.
But what I'm saying is this: when that actor has been so synonymous with that character and died,
More that
making them-
tragedy
I'm gonna
than the character.
I'm going to keep
more the
going
tragedy
on it.
than the
I'm gonna keep
character.
going on it because this is the truth. This is why people we're so pissed off about it. Okay, they believe that Eric Draven is Brandon Lee, and for all intents and purposes, I think he knocked it out of the park with that first film. But I don't
agree.
think.
I thought he was over the top.
Okay, fine, fair enough. But what I'm saying is that when you have someone else play that character, play a different character who's not Eric Draven, I think it's more palatable, and I think that's why they made all the sequels to it.
But it's 30 years after Brandon Lee. This is the first Eric Draven.
Well, let me. Okay,
The second movie was his character was named Ash.
Yeah.
I don't know about the third movie. I saw
There was
but-
no Eric Draven in any of the other ones.
Okay, then
Yeah.
what's the problem?
I
Eric
don't
Draven
ha-
was in the TV
well,
show, which I didn't see, but it's
Yeah.
like, what's the
So
problem with that?
Let me,
TV show was
Let me
garbage.
ask you guys this: is it unfair to put Brandon Lee's legacy on his death
Yes.
more than anything?
Yes.
I don't think it's because it also goes back
Absolutely.
to his father, and his father died making a movie, and I think that we want to create some kind of mythic kind of aura around tragedy because we don't want it to just be senseless. And I think that we've maybe personified Brandon Lee too much with his
Yeah.
death on the film than him as a person, because he, like his father, had died tragically while making
And
films.
I believe that, with tragedies for people who meet tragic fates, I don't want to think about how they died. I want to think about how they lived. And I didn't know anything about Brandon Lee, which is why I clicked on him when I was again a freshman in high school, I believe. And again, it's a shame that he only did that and maybe one or two other things prior to that.
He
But,
had done a lot.
you
before
know,
that. He had barely done a lot.
It's
of
amazing in
big
his
box
short
films.
life what he did do, and that's the kind of the same where I think you brought up Heath Ledger. It's what he could have been.
True,
You know,
but I'm gonna counter on this. Okay, I'm gonna counter on this.
Allow him to volley.
Allow me to volley. Okay, so here's the thing, and this is where the cynical side of me comes in. The remake wasn't made for altruistic purposes. It was not made to satisfy you, the fan, who is a fan of the comic book. It was not made for that. It was made for money. It was made for how can I cash in on a fan base? Because that is the methodology. That is what Hollywood is thinking of. How can I cash in on the fan base? They're not thinking of how can I make a new version of this that builds up off the old one? How can I be artistic? Bullshit. And you know how I know that? Because I saw the 2024 version. That's how I know. If I watch that movie and they hit me with hey, yeah, here's a version of Brandon Lee, not Brandon Lee, excuse me, Eric Draven. There you
boy.
go. There you go.
Boy.
That is
There's the problem.
more tied to the comic book, and maybe a version that takes place in 1980s, which I think would be the smart move, is to make it take place in the 80s. But that's not what we got.
What if it had been perfect? What if it had been a perfect?
I don't think there's
adaptation?
anything as perfect, but I think if they had
As close
said,
to
Oh, I think it's possible.
I think that if they had said, we are going to base this movie completely off of the graphic novel, have those elements in there, the entire graphic novel, and we're going to base it in the 1980s, then maybe we're okay. But ultimately, what we got was not that. What we got was, I'm sorry, a fucking cash grab.
No arguments here about
We got
that.
a cash grab that was trying to milk it out of people like you and me, saying, "Oh, well, you're fans of The Crow. Why don't you go and see this?" It's
Honestly,
like, well, fuck
I
you know?
saw the trailer.
Yeah.
And I got excited about it because the trailer got me excited about it because it's this looks different from the movie. that gets me excited because even though the other sequels that we got after the 1994's movies were, in my opinion, like I was upset by them. Like I would say, like, you know, show me the director's cut of, you know, City of Angels, because that movie was not what it was supposed to be, and I want to see what it was intended to be. Even the movie that we got in 2024, we didn't get what we were intended to be. There's a director's cut. There's something different. But to which I
don't want to see it. I don't want to see it.
Again, I don't give it. I don't care about it either.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know,
Lisa Snyder crow cut.
Again, with the trailer, it looked different enough that it's like, okay, you're never going to relate, you know, Bill, forgive me if I mispronounce it, Skarsgård? Skarsgård. I'll just call him Bill. Bill's version is
the weird one.
Bill.
He's the weird one. I'm sorry.
I
the
love
very
weird.
angular one.
He's very angular, and he's always playing
Weird
someone
is
under
great.
makeup.
He's gonna be Nosferatu. Yeah. Now he's doing this. I love his weirdness. But Bill's version is, you know, very much different than you know, the 1994's version, you know, and it's like, okay, I love that. And then I saw, you know, glimpses of this person in what we perceive to be in, I guess, in the trailer, purgatory. And for me, being a fan of the graphic novel, I'm like, holy shit, this is Skull Cowboy. And, you know, we find out when we watch the film, it's like, oh, okay, it's not Skull Cowboy.
No, now we're getting inside baseball here.
Listen. Let's be honest here. Purgatory was Belarus or wherever the hell they decided to film in Eastern Europe, because that's the amount of care that they cared.
Yeah.
Okay. Like this was no joke. Literally looked like a ripoff of the Hellraiser reboot that they did, where they filmed it also in the same Eastern European
I didn't
area.
see
I'm
the
going to need to do
Hellraiser
director's commentary,
reboot.
but ladies and
And
gentlemen,
shit
Skull
like that
Cowboy
doesn't
was a
make me want
character
to.
in the comic books. Right now, these two big fans are discussing a character that was not ended up in the film. I hope this clarification has given you a little bit of context of what you are listening to.
Listen, John. The people who've clicked on this video or they've clicked on this episode listening to it on their audio, they know full well that we're going into deep nerd territory, okay? They know that. They come here for that, right? We hope you come here for that.
Like, I love that all Crow versions that are out there, they're all different, including this one, and I do like it for that reason. I'm not saying this version's any good, but I get excited. I get excited for more. Again, like, you know, the original author, you know, who wrote this and, you know, distributed it, and in the comic book world right now, like, he doesn't even write some Crow comic books that come out right now. Other people do, but it's like that's how much it's grown, and that's how much it's known, and that's how popular it is. You look online, you look at the numbers, The Crow is very popular in terms of, you know, independent comic books. Right. So for me, I want to see something new. I want to see something different than the first. Again, like, nothing's going to change the fact that 1994's Crow is my favorite, but I want to see something new. I want to see something different, but I also want to see something good, and I haven't seen something that since 1994's.
All right, so I got a hot take on the whole Brandon Lee thing. And
you're supposed to be the referee, John.
Well, I'm the man in the middle. I'm the man in the middle. So let me finish.
Yeah. I don't know what the score is, Brian.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not keeping score.
Round by round. All right, so let me finish when I say this.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck about Brandon Lee.
You just lost all of our listeners.
In terms of the film and any adaptation and anything like that, I think it's a fucking tragedy that he died.
Yes.
And he's, for all intents and purposes, he seemed like a great man and a great father.
He wasn't a father.
He wasn't a father.
He was not a father?
No, you're confusing his dad.
I'm sorry.
No, he was about to get married.
I thought he
was about to get married.
He was literally
That's the
weeks
woman
away from
at the end
married.
of the movie that it's for him and his wife.
Yeah. All right, subtract that, minus that. I thought he had a kid. But anyways, the fact that
Why the fuck is he
they finished the film without him shows that no man is an island in and of themselves, and that film is a collaboration, and Brandon Lee is not the Crow. The Crow is the Crow. The writer, the Crow is on the page, whether it's the graphic novel or the script, and one man does not define that.
Yes.
And so I didn't give two fucks that they remade this because Brandon Lee unfortunately died because of negligence on set. it's a tragedy.
That's an opinion.
But things happen. So again, yeah, I didn't lose an ounce of sleep over the idea of them remaking this just because he died on set. I do lose sleep over negligence of proper use of weaponry on movie sets, like as we're seeing with Rust right now with Alec Baldwin. That's something I lose sleep
That's
over.
an interesting point. This film, they didn't use like real bullets on set. They decided, so if the blood and everything looks weird from the guns, they didn't use real ammo.
Are you talking about the remake?
The remake,
fake.
yeah.
The remake.
Here's the thing.
And
I
they did
didn't
that
care about
because of Brandon
Yeah,
Lee. But a lot of people complain about
I
like
don't
the
give
use
a
of
shit.
that
I don't
and how
give-
fake it looks, and it's like,
that
well,
that didn't bug me.
because of that.
You know what bugged me? The fucking acting.
The acting? You didn't like the acting?
No,
Whose acting didn't you
All.
like? All of them.
I hate all of them.
I liked Bill, and I liked
No.
who's the one who played like the Lucifer guy?
Danny Houston?
He was great. He's great in everything he
No,
does, though.
no. Okay.
He was
okay.
he was very
just,
generic.
Just open up a fucking can of worms.
Oh boy,
Okay, so Skarsgård
so evil. What am I doing?
Skarsgård was playing the most subdued version of himself because I've seen him in other things, and I did not like him in this one. Like
Okay.
he you've got a character who has gone from extremes of playing Pennywise to he was in what was the other movie with Justin Long in the house one? Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I don't remember the
Barbarian.
name.
Barbarian.
Yeah, so he was really good in Barbarian, even though he was in like for only a minute of it.
Did you see Boy Kills World
I
that
haven't
came out
seen-
earlier?
I haven't seen.
I really enjoyed that.
But that's what I'm saying is like he clearly is an actor who can tackle these roles. But in this one, he just seemed like he was reactive to everything, and he was just like, "Oh no, why is this happening to me?
Well, Brandon
you
was
mean
very
I'm
over the
dead? You like, huh?"
Brandon was very over the top. I think they wanted him to try to be different.
Yeah, and Bill, Bill is a lot
Yeah.
different. Remember, I used the example of the car scene.
Yeah.
Eric enters the car, and it's like, "Who the fuck are you supposed to be?" And Eric's like, "I'm your new passenger, drive." Whereas Bill is just like, he doesn't even finish his sentence before the guy's trying to get on him, and Bill accidentally shoots him in the head. He's like, "Ah." I'm like, okay, here's your proof that it's a different Brandon Lee, but also proof of what you're
You
kind
mean
of
Eric
getting
Draven.
into. Oh,
Draven.
did I say?
See, you
Eric?
did it too.
So, yeah, you're having a Freudian slip
You did
there.
too.
See, I told you it was going to happen.
But
Chemo brain.
here's
Chemo brain.
here's my problem though. He's a great actor when he's in things like this, and he just. I don't know. He just felt like he was sleepwalking through this. Honestly, every actor felt like they were sleepwalking through this movie.
I think it's like a Hayden Christensen. It's like you're working with what you're given.
Well, no shit. I mean, I know that, but what I'm saying is
Even
like
Bill said like he wasn't happy about the way the film ended up, but it's like they're paying him, and he's working with what he gets.
I get that, but like that's ultimately. A film is a combination of a bunch of aspects to it.
Yeah.
Okay, his performance is part of it, and yeah, if the director who is shit, which I will say, the director of this movie is shit, and went on.
I liked Snow White and the Huntsman.
I don't care. I didn't see it.
I
didn't
liked
see it.
it. I didn't say it
Calm
was
down,
a
you two.
good movie. I said
But-
I liked it.
No, but like this director went on saying,
he
like,
fucked
"Oh well,
Kristen Stewart.
the director did."
That's
Oh,
that's
that's-
what ended his marriage.
Oh, that tracks.
Who he has-
But
someone
this
who he has
director, I
kids
think he
with.
did an interview where he said something to the effect of, "I'm trying to make a hip, cool crow." Like he was trying to make one for the next
Yeah.
generation. And it's like you don't realize how stupid you sound saying
Honestly,
that.
I think he was more upset about that people didn't give him a chance. Like right away when photos were released, they're like, "Oh, Jared Leto's The Crow," and then the trailer came out. People were saying it. People like you who weren't giving it a chance. And I'm like, let me see it before I judge it. And then I saw it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, piece of shit." But I didn't do that until I saw it.
I still saw it. I still saw it.
Well, Brian, what I would say, like when you said, like how dare he say make it hip? I could say it's slow down there, Grandpa.
No,
That's
I'm,
like us saying that the hippest
People were-
Batman is the Batman
Lionsgate
89
was not
because
giving
you're-
him a
you're
chance.
5 years old.
Let's be real.
Or for what?
Lionsgate was not giving this film in general a chance. I mean, look at what they've done throughout this entire year. Look at Borderlands. Look at the
Are you
reviews.
saying, Christine, that the film studio was trying to make a cash grab on our nostalgia and established fan base, kind of like what I just said?
But what again, what I'm saying is I don't judge anything until it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
And when it came out, oh my gosh, we discovered, yes, that's what it is. Some cash grabs work, okay? They fucking work sometimes. Borderlands didn't fucking work. The Crow didn't work. But here's the thing. Lionsgate knew that The Crow wasn't working when all these like fucking trolls or fucking people went to, the little comment section and was just like, oh, Jared Leto's Joker. I don't want to see this because Brandon Lee is the only Crow. It's like Lionsgate probably with their marketing department was like, okay, we're not going to promote this anymore because we need to save some of this.
I will go back
because
to this,
we make so many fucking mistakes.
Here's the thing I'm going to go back to. That you cannot tell me, and you cannot sit there and tell me that Lionsgate didn't know what type of hornet's nest they were walking into. This movie had been in development since 2008. Every single time that there was a leak picture or news of it, you can look down the line and see every comment going, fuck this, fuck this, fuck this. So all I'm trying to say is they knew 100% what they were walking into, and they still did it anyway. Okay, because ultimately, Lionsgate wanted to make money. That's it. That's all they wanted to do was cash in on that nostalgia boner. That was it.
Not just that, Brian. Like you can lose intellectual property if you don't make something.
I understand that, but
yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at is that no one gave a shit about what the fans wanted, even though this is a movie that's designed to try to get the fans. When you make a movie off a property, its primary goal is to cut their marketing costs so that they can establish to a pre-established audience. That's what they're trying to do.
But when you look at nostalgia, they kind of look at nostalgia as like, okay, what was 30 years ago? That's what they've been doing the last few days with years with nostalgia. It's like, doesn't mean what it used to mean. But it's like, The Crow was 30 years ago. So the whole point is to bring it to new audiences and then
make it different.
And make it new, make it different, which again, my point, every single Crow is different from the first Crow, including the TV shows where there's two Eric Dravens. It's like you have an opportunity to do something new, something different. And to your point, yes, you are correct. This is a cash grab of situation. However, this is still an independent film company, which it's like, why would you not promote this product? Again, it goes back to my point. Lionsgate doesn't know what the fuck it's doing with its even, promoting stuff. They did the same thing with Megalopolis with, its promotion.
Well, Christine, I'll present this as an argument against you. You can put as much makeup you want on a pig. It's still a pig. Like, they could have promoted the hell out of this thing and promoted it correctly. It's still going to be what we got.
But I think a lot, too, has to do with, these... Hollywood executives and everything hounding down, making it what they think it should be too. There was still a lot of influence too. There was so much influence.
I'm trying to go with this. They did not care one iota about the fans.
That's why they could have made a good film. They didn't care what the story was, but they didn't even stick to a good story. Everybody signed off on this because, again, it was a shitty story.
Well, it was a shitty story, and honestly, like I do want to talk a bit about problems with this movie, the 2024 version, because there are plenty. There are plenty. Okay, but before I get to that, I want to show some reviews.
Oh boy.
Okay, are you familiar with this? Have you ever you watched our show?
Yeah. I don't see the reviews.
No one sees the reviews
except Brian. Yeah.
All right, so these are ones that I found off of Letterboxd.
Okay.
Okay, and I have 3 of them.
The only reviews I see are like Jared Leto Joker, Brandon Lee, R.I.P. That's
some of these are like that.
I don't see much, but
I picked them. So
I'll respond to them though.
You know what's coming.
Yeah,
all right. So here we go. We got our first one here. Okay, our first one's gonna be Invincible Cheat Code the movie.
How is that any different than the original, though?
Okay, I'm going back to you. We got to go back to your face.
Okay. Yeah, so how is that any different than the original, though? Because that is a big problem I had with the original Crow. I'm like, oh, he's unbeatable, so why do I care?
Well, what I find hilarious about the new version, first of all, there's no difference. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There is no difference. That's his superpower. And it's funny, when you actually look up, like, The Crow and look at Wikipedia, the first thing it says is a superhero film, which... I don't know if I necessarily put it in that vein, but it does kind of track a bit. It's kind of like if you did a breakdown of a superhero film and added in dark elements, you would get this movie.
I always considered it like different with independent comics versus like superhero film comics that are like from mainstream like Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
Like this, it's so like interesting in that you almost can't place it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like calling Watchmen a superhero movie when it's a lot
So much
more.
more.
Than
It's
that.
like deconstruction.
I feel
of
that
the
the
superhero
Crow is
genre.
that it's so much more than that.
But what I find funny about the 2024 version, okay, is that the 2024 version decides to give us like the 2 stages of becoming the Crow, right? Like in the first half of it, when Eric Draven dies, he's got the invulnerability powers, right? But he can still feel pain. He's still kind of human. He doesn't have super strength, but he can be like run over and then just like get right back up, no problem.
Yeah.
And I find that dumb because then when he finally like gives over his whole soul and says like I'm going to become the real Crow, then
And
he's
he's
got
still
the cheat
doing
code
that.
invincibility powers.
Then he just puts makeup on his face.
Then
when
he
he's
just
the same person.
puts tattoo ink on his face and says, "I'm now the Crow. Now I feel no pain. I have no heart. I have nothing. I'm nihilist."
I think that was a misinterpretation of Skull Cowboy and what he should have been doing for Eric. But yes, that is complete and total bullshit.
It's bullshit.
Like he was doing the same thing before as he was, and it's like, you know, his love is pure. So why are we questioning it now? Even if he did see that for the first time, it's like, dude, you know, that's a moment.
Yeah.
The whole reason you're agreeing to this is because his love is pure. If you're changing your mind now, then what the fuck was the last few hours about?
Well, it just to me felt like stilted. It felt like a stilted story part of it. Like it felt
It's like we need to do this in the plot, so let's do it
it's like,
now.
well, he can't just have like all the superpowers like immediately because that'd be too easy. It's like, but the original did it and there was no problem.
Exactly.
And the graphic novel did it. I didn't see the graphic novel say like, well, you're only at stage 1 of being a Crow. You're not a final stage. You haven't gone Super Saiyan yet. You know, for our Dragon Ball Z fans.
Super Saiyan is a Dragon Ball Z reference for all
I'm not
this.
a Dragon Ball Z fan, but
But you know what I mean? Like it just felt like it felt like a stupid move. It's like, well, he's invulnerable, but like, you know, he's not super powered yet. He just feels pain and doesn't die.
Could he be killed at first before he becomes the Crow? Like, if he got enough
Was
head
killed.
trauma?
He was
Well,
killed.
I mean, I guess re-killed.
No, he can't be
Yeah.
re-killed.
no.
Because, like, we saw Beetlejuice, where, like, Burton's bottom was just killing dead people. You know, but...
I mean, like initially, what it is in the comic book, he does have the help of, you know, his, you know, spiritual guide, which is Skull Cowboy, and it's like, you know, your love is so pure, it's so, you know, it transcends, you know, everything, it transcends death.
Yeah.
So you have this opportunity, you can come back to make the wrong things right and avenge this death. Not just for yourself, but for your love, who you lost.
Yeah.
And you two can be reunited. It's different a little bit for the first film, but it's kind of like, yeah, it's, I don't know why they made the decisions
It's
they
just
did.
stupid. It's just really dumb.
Either version of this, can we all agree that this is a really fucked up message that this movie portrays?
What's the
that-
message, Sean?
Ooh.
That if your loved one is brutally murdered, to come back to life and just senselessly kill people. Okay, that's not how you do things. You don't just murder people and be
John,
a
it
vigilante.
is a fantasy.
Yeah.
movie.
But also, it
It's
won't
not
bring
real.
her back.
About
There's a problem when
mythology.
Batman
The great-
Forever has a better philosophical message than The Crow.
No.
Well, Robin wants to kill Two-Face, and in Batman, he's telling him, "But it's not going to bring your family back. It's going to make you darker and darker."
Well,
and then at the end, Robin does the right
Here's
thing.
what I go with. I go with the message in The Crow is that grief takes many forms.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is what I go with.
Yeah, sometimes sociopathic violence.
No,
Shut up,
no,
John.
I don't go with that way. I think when people have horrible things happen to them and they are the ones left to pick up the pieces, in your mind, you might wish to lash out. And this is a fictionalized version of that lashing out in the most extreme sense.
That's what the author did
and that
in real life.
That's what I'm saying, is I view it as The Crow is a story of grief. You internally, if you lost your loved one, you might want to say, I would love to go out there and take care of that person. And make the wrong things righted. And it's like, what if you had that power?
Yes.
So that's I don't necessarily say it's a bad message. I think it's just a manifestation of feelings in a film and in a character that's fictionalized.
It's a representation of fascist anarchy. But
okay, fine, whatever.
Fuck off, John.
Fuck off. All right, let's go to another review. Let's go to another one right here. Let's see what we got. There's something so poetic about massacre scenes in an opera house. Okay, this is good. I'm glad with this pump.
That was my favorite scene of the movie.
That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
that was the only
that crescendo
best
like
part
the
of the
opera
movie.
would. Yeah,
but as I'm saying, it's like
cool
there's
scene.
only one good aspect of this movie, and that is the part where the crow has the full crow and he's like killing people.
So beautiful. That was
because
beautiful.
like that's what the whole movie should have kind of been. I don't know, maybe we do that, make the whole movie like that. Kind of like the 1994 version did.
They could have made it one big opera like
They
that.
could have just had like I don't know, the crow actually like I don't know, make the wrong things righted.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
like the movie was supposed to do.
So many of those were just like hired bodyguards that he was slaughtering left and right.
Yeah. What's your point?
Okay.
Are you taking the side of the bodyguards?
Instead
like,
of
go
having
give-
They're hired goons.
instead
there
of
to do a
having
job.
this awesome, beautiful musical opera that we could have gotten throughout the entire movie, we're gonna again focus on bad acting, as you put it.
It is
to
bad
focus on this love story that transcends death, which I didn't buy.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the love story that didn't transcend death. What was your take on FKA Twig's performance?
I think, she's not a trained actress. She's a trained,
Musician.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen her in a few films. When I say a few, I mean 2 other ones besides this. Again, I think she's a very talented person. She's very beautiful. I think she knows herself as a performer, even though she doesn't necessarily know herself on a movie set.
That was kind of obvious.
In terms of playing Shelley, I don't think it's necessarily a bad choice because in terms of her playing Shelley, it's not on screen a lot. Again, I take it to what she's given in the fucking script. She's not there that much. So the fact that you're saying like, oh, fucking Twigs, it's like, she wasn't there that much and the fucking script was stupid.
I go with, and this is gonna, you might agree with me, you might not. I don't care. I go with she was sleepwalking through the whole fucking movie.
Do you think she knew the film was going to be shit?
She's probably just not an actress.
No, I think she's not an actress, and I think that they again, going back to the producers, were like, I need to make this movie sexy and edgy and appeal to a younger generation. So let me just go ahead and get this music star who's never acted in a fucking thing and put them in the movie.
She's acted in a few things since then, but yes, she is a little bit of an unknown when compared to most musical
but she just
artists.
wasn't good. Like
who's more popular, her as a musical artist or M. Night Shyamalan's daughter in Trap?
I didn't see Trap.
Oh,
Well, no. Yeah,
But
that's why M. Night Shyamalan put her in there
Yeah.
to be like,
But-
pay attention to my
But
kid.
my point is that okay, so Shelley in this movie has more screen time than Shelley in the original, right? Okay,
yes.
because Shelley in the original is just
Give her
told through
more of a
flashbacks.
character.
Okay, yeah,
She's-
but
Which
I was
they
more
didn't really.
sympathetic. What was
That's
that?
true.
Shelley's always fridged,
Yes,
That whole idea of like, you need to kill the bitch off right away so the man has something to go show his
Right.
testosterone about. Yeah.
but all I'm saying is like, in the brief moments of Shelley in the original, I felt more for them than I did at all for FKA Twigs. 100%. Like, I was.
over here and say anything.
No, yeah.
You're
I would-
more than welcome to. You can take my seat if you want to.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
But no, I would say that there's something that's very good in the original is that they could have been together for months or years.
Yeah.
Unlike this one where they met for like
1 week.
They know they're together for what, a couple of days, and they just did a
Say
bunch
what
of
you
drugs.
say about Twigs, but that has to be some awesome pussy if he love transcends.
He
for
didn't
just a
shower. He
week.
gave her a yeast infection, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. I was
yeah.
thinking the same thing. I'm like, dude, you just escaped the mental hospital and you're not going to shower at all.
Every
We're
time
going
that
straight into it.
Every time
It's
that
like,
bitch
all right.
queef, there's a cake, you know? But yeah, they knew each other for like 10 seconds. They did a bunch of drugs, and then she died, and she's like, she's the love of my life. She's everything I ever wanted. It's like, really, dude?
Well,
You
and
knew each other for a
also,
weekend.
like, she's still on the run. Like, she's still on the run. She knows that people are trying to kill her. Why? Because they had to escape the mental hospital.
they
But we
stay in the
had
city.
time. But we had time to stay in the city and like bum around a bunch of like rich people, like hotels, clubs, and get tattoos together.
I was
and
glad
be
she
seen
died.
in public.
It makes sense
Where
when
you
they
can
went
be-
camping, and it made sense when they were doing shit like indoors. When they went clubbing and shit
Gotta
like
go
that, I'm like,
clubbing.
what the fuck are you doing? If you were in a different city, like
Yeah.
across states, that makes sense. But no, what the fuck?
They're in the same city, going to the same places where Danny Houston and his ghouls can go and get her.
Yeah.
You know?
Because the script, the plot needs it. Yeah, fuck off. Yeah. I feel like, again, like people who have watched 1994's The Crow and read the graphic novel are smarter than that. So it's like when you have this opportunity,
Apparently, the
why do you
producers and
make
director
this
were not
choice?
smarter.
And
than
that's
that.
why it's like, fuck Lionsgate for not like fucking asking for something better. You are an independent film crew.
Don't
And it's
want
like
anything better.
they just want the next Hunger Games movie.
No,
'cause
they
it'll
don't
make
even want
bank.
the next Hunger Games. They just want money off of people like you and me.
Yeah.
Put the name on it, and
That's
the monkeys
it.
will go see
yes,
it. Yeah.
it's
And-
ship this out there, get it on HBO Max in 2 weeks.
And
we
I'm
don't
pissed
care.
about that. I am. Believe me, I am.
There's yes, that's all I'm saying.
Let me ask the two of
Yeah.
you who've read the graphic novel.
Okay.
Is the graphic novel like the original where it's Blade Runner, if it was on Wish.com, that a universe that we
No.
got?
No.
No, so that was just created for that movie?
In what, the original?
Yeah, I'm like the style.
Yeah, no, it's-
which I
it's-
call, again, Blade Runner,
I mean,
Wish.com.
Here's the thing. I attribute the graphic novel to be looking more like late 80s goth subculture.
Yes.
That is what its vibe is.
But the whole city just comes off as like that kind of like
That's
Anton
Alex Proyas.
First,
That's
Batman
Alex
89.
Proyas right
Yeah.
there for you. So Alex Proyas, the director of the original, he has that aesthetic. He always have. You go back to like Dark City, which is one of my favorite films.
I love that.
Oh, it's so good. But he has the same aesthetic. It's a neo noir style type of
So is The
aesthetic.
Crow.
And The Crow is very much a
Crow is
neo noir.
yeah.
But I would say that, like, even though they didn't succeed with the new one, you kind of want to try to put your own stamp on it to try to do, like, the opposite of what the other guys did. So it's like, okay, you got the whole white face paint and everything. Like, we're going to do a minimized version of that. Their world is kind of, like, more dystopian, otherworldly in the original. We're going to try to ground ours more in, like, more of a reality base. It's kind of not apples to apples, but apples to hammers. It's kind of how Christopher Nolan separated himself from Burton.
In the comic book, there was no white paint. There was only black paint. That was something that the 1994 film added.
So the new one actually did it right. Or
Yes.
faithfully, I should
Yes.
say. Yeah.
The only thing though is that the 2024 version doesn't have a style that's distinct.
That is the problem.
Other than
it's beautifully
Eastern-
shot.
No, it's not.
The shots are beautiful. Really,
It's
you don't-
confidently shot.
It's competently shot.
Okay, but it is beautiful. The music, the
here's
soundtrack
the
is
thing.
beautiful.
Here's the thing.
Made me the
Well,
soundtrack
yeah,
made me
they pulled
emotional.
They pulled some 80s goth tunes. Good job for them. They did a little bit.
It wasn't anything new. I saw a lot of new tunes.
No, it was
might have been
the eight-
creative
no, it
for
was
the film.
80s
I don't know.
No, it was 80s goth tunes. They pulled a lot of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
All right,
for
you
the
two,
original?
quit fighting.
no,
Quit
no,
talking
for the
over
new
each other.
one.
that's what I mean. The new one they pulled it.
Oh,
80s goth tunes. for it.
I didn't see that. I saw a lot of new music that was created too.
I mean, I don't know about new music. I think it was mostly like old, like I forget the band. What was that? Yeah, Gary Newman. There's a lot of
Okay,
Gary
thank
Newman
you.
things. Thank you. So
Again,
yeah,
if you want to take my seat and talk,
yeah. But it's all like
if you want to say something, believe
Yeah.
me.
but it was.
You look awesome, and you might look great on camera.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, it was old school 80s goth tunes, which that was great. Good job. Didn't fit with the movie though that we got, and that's where I go back to. I'm like, if they said, "Hey, we are going to do a Bram Stoker's Dracula type deal to this bullshit. We are going to go to the graphic novel. We're going to make it in black and fucking white." Can you imagine that? A black and fucking white movie in The Crow?
Studios.
Man, I know what the fuck you just said, but you special son.
But I'm just saying, can you imagine they did a Sin City style version to The Crow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, if they did that
would be beautiful.
and said, "Hey, you know
and
what?"
there are moments where there's color. There's moments where there's color, and it's beautiful.
But that's what I'm saying.
The 94 one is so diluted, you know.
But that's what I'm saying is
in its color palette. I mean.
That's there's a reason why.
Yeah.
It's because they were trying to reference that original source material. So what I'm trying to say is that the style of this movie, the 2024 version, is basically Eastern European. We got nothing else. I can put the shots from the 2024 version up against the shots from 2022's Hellraiser, which were filmed in the same places. The same fucking places. And it's the same movie. Like, I could be like, "Oh, look at that. A factory in Eastern Europe. Oh, look at that. A factory in Eastern Europe." You know, it's the same damn thing. So that's what I'm saying. Is like, there was no style. This was, how can we cheap out on a Crow reboot to recoup this and just be done with this? They were tired of, I think, of working on this damn thing. They just want to be done with it. And I want to tell you something. Here's a funny thing. So I wrote down all of the potential Crow actors up until we got the Skarsgård. Okay?
Tom Hiddleston was one of them.
Tom Hiddleston was one. So it originally was going to be Mark. Well, here's the thing.
Favorite.
It was originally going to be Mark Wahlberg.
Oh God!
Yeah,
no.
thank goodness it was not him.
Mark Wahlberg was going to be Eric Draven in 2008. Okay, and then they switched directors, and Bradley Cooper, was in the running to be it. Okay,
I know about him.
Right.
Jason.
Well, I'm not there yet. There were a couple more.
Let him read.
Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, I know about him.
Luke Evans.
I do know about
Luke
him
Evans
too.
was in.
I'm sorry.
Jason
Luke Evans?
Luke Evans. He was in that Dracula movie. The one where he's like it was going to be part of like the Tom Cruise's Dracula, his Universal Monsters.
How memorable is that? No wonder that didn't come into fruition.
Yeah. So Luke Evans, and then finally it was Jason Momoa.
That
there are pictures,
and there are pictures of him. Yes, in that role, and not good.
No,
I mean, all of them.
I hate to typecast the man, but he's too as
he's
Aquaman.
too Aquaman now.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't then when the pictures were taken.
But you want
Not
like
at the time,
Billy
no.
Boy.
He was slimmed down a bit.
Yeah. But you look at Billy Boy, like the clown, like playing it, like he can hide under that makeup. It's different.
Yeah.
You know? But
yeah, so I mean, this is a movie that I really think that everyone was just like, "Hey, we're tired of fucking working on this damn thing. We want to be done. Want to get it out the door. We
It's
don't
just a
care."
shame. It's a shame.
And
Everyone
and,
exhausted.
And I think they knew full well the backlash of this movie was going to kill it. So they were just like, "How can we just break even, make money on streaming, and the product you get is what you got here?" And like, it ultimately was a failure.
Because there are probably a lot of people that would be like, the trailer didn't look so great. I don't know if I want to take the whole family to the movie theater and spend over $100. I'll wait till it's $20 on streaming, and
they're not even gonna wait till it's $20 on streaming.
I don't think anyone's
They're
gonna
gonna
watch
wait till
this
it's
after
just on Netflix.
after us
speaking
talking
of
about it.
other New Line movies, like I heard that Borderlands was so terrible that I'm like, I kind of want to watch this for my worst movies of the year list. When it went to streaming, I went, I'll watch it now because I thought it was gonna be $3,
Did any of you guys
$4.
see it?
I didn't see Borderlands,
but it was it was $20. I'm like, fuck that,
Yeah.
But
all right, so I have one final review that we can look at here. Okay, so this is, in hindsight, I suppose I probably could have just sent my money on fire and pissed on Brandon Lee's grave myself. That's a good review. Has 2,937 likes on on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
again, it takes a village to make a movie. That movie was more than Brandon Lee. If it wasn't more than Brandon Lee, they wouldn't have finished it and put it in theaters.
But you cannot ignore that has now become Brandon Lee's legacy, for better or worse. You can't ignore it. I'm sorry.
This movie does not shit on his legacy.
I don't think it shits on his legacy. I'm not one of those. I'm not one who's going to say like it shits on the man's legacy. I do think that it cheapens the brand. It cheapens the brand of The Crow.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, I think it makes I think it makes people have a bad taste in their mouth about this character if all they are experiencing is this movie. That's what I think the problem is.
Yeah,
I think that people kind of devalue Eric Draven as a character because we haven't had much of it. If this movie had been Brandon Lee playing Dracula or Batman or Sherlock Holmes and died on set, nobody would say, how dare you ever make a Dracula, Batman, or Sherlock Holmes film ever again.
But you cannot ignore the circumstances around the man's death, the fact that this man basically was embodied by this character. You cannot ignore
He's only
that.
embodied by that because we didn't know basically anything else.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, you cannot ignore the circumstances around the character and around the actor in this. And I think that's where people...
How do you feel about Paul Walker?
I don't feel either
He
or.
died in a car crash.
Yeah, I know.
With the stunt guy.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
But that wasn't during the movie's
That wasn't during the movie's production, was it? That wasn't because of negligence.
I think
I don't think so.
Well, okay, the cameras were not rolling. This is
No,
something
this
they were
wasn't
doing
done on set,
on their own
though.
time.
But it's like, isn't there something to be said about Paul Walker, who had such a passion for cars, this, that, and the other thing, that this is how he died? And yet they still keep making Fast and the Furious films.
Well, let's be honest here. The Fast and the Furious films are only, so deep in terms of subtext and characters and that sort of thing.
Well,
John, you sat through them, right? How deep are Fast and
I don't want to
Furious
put
films?
They all
the
meld
Crow
together.
in that category.
No,
but
no.
I was just putting that towards your logic, though.
Here's the thing. My logic is that when Brandon Lee died, it struck a very serious nerve with people who love that movie and grew to love that movie and grew to be fans of that movie, and then also people who are just fans of that character. Okay, and I'm saying the character of Eric Draven, not necessarily the Crow entirely. I'm saying that character. So because they have been so vehement of like, hey, we don't really want a remake. We know what the remake machine is gonna fucking do. And I think that's the big thing here, is it's not even necessarily, oh, wow, we really love Brandon Lee as the Crow. It's we know what the remake machine does. I've seen it myself. I love Freddy Krueger. And what happened when the remake machine took one of my favorite characters and crapped it through its gears? I got Frog Krueger, okay? I got a bastardization of a character that I love. Thank you, Platinum Dooms, you fuckers. Okay, I mean, that's what it was.
Remember the first Hangover movie?
Yeah.
And how we got The Hangover 2 and how shitty it was?
Yeah.
I'm worried about that. The new Joker movie is going to be The Hangover 2.
I've already heard bad things about that new one.
Yeah. What you just said reminded me
Good,
of
bad, or
that.
indifferent. I'm there.
I know.
I'm gonna have a good time.
I know.
either way.
I know.
Do you think it'll be more entertaining than The Crow? Probably.
Oh, I think, watching paint dry is more entertaining than The Crow. Okay, I guess my point is I think more people were angry that the remake machine was going to bastardize something that they care about. And I really believe that. I think that they were just like, oh, great, you're going to remake something I'm really passionate about, one I love,
After all
and you're
these
going to
years.
ruin it. Because what have we seen time and time again? The minute that someone is like, hey, let's go remake a remake to this. Let's go ahead and tap into this IP. Let's go ahead and tap into this nostalgia. It's never, ever, ever done for the right reasons, and it's never, ever, ever done for the fans. I've only seen a couple times where that has worked.
After
the
all
Batman
these years,
being one.
Yeah, I'm upset about that.
I do wonder if there ever was a time where they were doing this for the right reasons, but because it got so bogged down and production hell that they just said,
well,
let's just finish this. No one cares about it, but let's get it done.
I mean, originally they were going to have like Nick Cave come in and do screenwriting for it, which that's an interesting concept there. And I mean, they said they wanted to make it dark and gritty, and it's like, okay, well, and so like in researching a little bit of this, I think there's some truth to that, John. I think they might have started out like, hey, yeah, let's make this good.
But then everybody died inside.
Well, I don't think necessarily everybody died inside. I think it was more like it dragged on and on and on, and you had lawsuits related to, you know, the Weinsteins were involved in it too. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That makes sense because Miramax was
Right.
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, there was lawsuits that
I didn't know that.
brought this up. Yeah, because the Weinsteins had the rights to it, and I think relatively media
them.
was trying to get it, and there was a lawsuit that ensued. But the point I was trying to get at is just that by the time we actually get to making the damn thing,
Yeah.
it's no longer done for any altruistic purposes. It's done for, I want as much money in as little investment as possible.
And again-
So yeah, let me go ahead and get the Skarsgård, who's doing all these sort of weird makeup characters, right? He's fucking Pennywise in one movie, he's in this and that. And then let's go ahead and get FK Twigs so she appeals to the kids. Okay? Let's go get Danny Houston, he is ultimately Mr. Villain Guy, because he's Mr. Villain Guy in everything. Okay?
He's good at it.
No, but he's playing the same character.
Really?
Every time he plays the same character. I can look at
Okay.
him in
He
Wonder
knows
Woman.
what works.
I can look at him in Wonder Woman, and then I can look at him in this and be like, oh, wow, you're playing the
Same
same
guy.
villain. Okay?
He's very good at what he does.
So my point is, like, this was done for a cash grab. People who are angry about it were angry about it for the right reasons, I think, because they knew what was coming. And what we got was that. Now, to
Am
your
I
point,
angry about it for the right reasons?
I think you are
Because I sound like
more
we're a lot
well-rounded.
alike, but we're not.
Yeah, but I think that's okay. I think that's fine.
Sure.
I think you were more open than most, and that is good. Okay,
Maybe it's because of my passion for both.
that's
the novel
fine,
and the
I
first
think
film.
that's part of it, right? I think some people who really like latched onto the first film maybe aren't seeing necessarily from the whole picture. I know for me, I own the graphic novel, but I haven't
Me
read
too.
it in years.
Same.
Okay, so but my point is that I think you're approaching it from a well-rounded source, but the problem is that Hollywood is not that.
No.
They've never been that, not at least not recently. But I just know for me, like, I didn't hate watch this movie. I hate watch Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, I hate
watch RoboCop.
You did the same thing.
The remake.
The
Obviously.
remake to it. I paid a ticket, and viewers and listeners of the show will know this. I paid a ticket to go see that movie on the first day, and I hate watch that whole damn thing. And I was just like, this movie's so fucking terrible. I hate the fuck they did this. And it's like, it's almost therapy
Yeah.
to see look what they did to my boy.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what it felt like.
Look what they did to my boy. No,
Yeah.
but I think me not having any emotional
You come into this
attachment-
cold. Like
Yeah.
you're just like, I
no
don't care.
emotional attachment to the original film. I just watched this one and went, it was kind of average. And now I've gone from average to actually it's kind of bad, and it is on my worst movies of the year list, but it's
Same.
not
Yeah.
going to be very high on it. But but initially I wasn't just appalled by it because I thought, oh, it's just another average Hollywood dump.
I mean, it's average, and that's the problem with it.
Yeah.
It's like there's no spice to it. It's like you're just looking at vanilla on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, they got moments of blood in it. Okay, good
You got
job.
to take some chances.
Good
with
job.
them, yeah.
Good job. You got one scene. You got one scene that's good.
They didn't make
And what's
any
the one
money
scene?
on
No
this
one's acting.
movie,
You know
though.
what the funny thing is?
They didn't make
No-
any money on this cash grab.
But here's the thing: no one's acting in that scene that we all like, except the stunt doubles.
Yeah.
There's no dialogue in those scenes where he's in the opera
Dead
house.
on arrival.
Well, and all the people in the opera house pretending they can't hear a machine gun through a doorway.
I don't know. Maybe Eastern European doorways are really strong,
very insulated.
very
places.
insulated.
All right, but so as we're kind of like wrapping things up,
Yeah.
I gotta ask you guys,
Okay.
and I'll answer it first. Do we get yet another Crow reboot? And I think, oh hell yes! Give it 5 years, we're gonna get another one.
I mean, I'll watch it. I'll be interested in it if we do get it. I'm not gonna knock it again. Like I don't believe I believe giving something a shot, seeing it for what it is, and then judging it. Like don't knock it until you try it.
Will you give Neil Breen films a shot?
What?
Will you give Neil Breen films a shot?
Oh, Neil Breen's the Crow.
Oh no!
I am the Crow. I have to avenge.
I have to avenge my
Honestly,
love.
I don't.
I play
I
guitar.
I
want to
play
see a Neil Green film, but that sounds awesome until it doesn't. But at that point, you already have my money.
So I think that it will be a very, 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 very long time before we ever get another remake or sequel or anything to The Crow. I think this is. I think
Probably.
this. I think that this is
5
this
years.
whole. You think 5 years?
5 years.
I think that this whole experience has burnt them.
I hope
them
it
to
doesn't.
fuck.
I
This
hope
is
we
Batman
see-
and Robin levels.
Oh, you know what I think it'll be? It won't be a movie. It won't be a
We
2-hour
haven't
movie in
seen
theaters.
Robin since Batman. Robin.
It's going to be streaming. It's going to be a streaming show.
Now, here's the thing. That I can see more reasonable. And I think that that would be a smart move because it allows for more nuance in the story to be told. You know what I mean? But no, I do not see them going into this realm of touching the Crow for at least 5 years. I think longer. I really think that this requires a decade worth of just staying the fuck away from this movie because the backlash is what I'm going with.
You said Batman and Robin. It took them 8 years to bring a new Batman.
True. But I'm going with the backlash. Okay, think about like Ghostbusters Answer the Call. You remember the amount of backlash that movie had? For rightly or so,
Yeah.
like some people were, misogynistic trolls, and other people were just like, this is
the lady one.
the lady one. Answer the call.
I didn't forgot that. Was
You
the-
remember that one?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
reviewed it.
Yes.
Okay, but it took a while before they even approached it, and when they did approach it, what did they do? They said, "Hey guys, we're gonna get the original people back in this."
It took 5 years. It
But-
took literally 5 years.
But I think it's going to take longer.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take longer because there was no glimmers of any hope to this one. You could say like, okay, well, Ghostbusters Answer the Call. You had a lot of women who never really got into Ghostbusters. This was kind of their movie. It brought them into it. Okay, good for that. It was flawed. We saw that, but I don't think there's any goodwill with the Crow fans at all anymore because of this movie.
No.
And I really think that it's just pissed people off. I think if they even attempt in 5 years to say, "Hey, yeah, we're going to go," they're like, "I don't want to see it," and it's going to piss them off again. So I think they need a longer amount of time with this. Now, here's the thing, and this is why it's probably going to be 5 years, because someone has to get the rights to that damn thing, and they only got like 5 years before they lose the rights to it. And let's be honest here, people still want that Brandon Lee Crow money.
That's why we got Fan 4 Stick.
Okay,
Yeah. Because
So that-
20th Century Fox didn't want to lose Fantastic Four.
that's what I'm saying.
So they pumped out a turd.
So yeah, you might be right. 5 years from now, whoever owns the Crow rights now is going to be like, well, we don't want to fucking lose that, so let's go ahead and pump out another one and see it bomb.
Let's get Eddie Furlong's Crow back.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Bring all the old Crows back. Like, can you imagine that? Like in a Expendables.
Has any of the old Crows like
Eddie Furlong's still
Eddie
alive.
did no.
He's still alive.
But has he commented on the new Crow or
No,
making
none of them
of?
have talked about it.
Oh.
The only person who's talked about it has been like Alex Proyas and
Yeah.
person who played Sarah in the original.
Yeah,
she's talked about
Yeah,
it.
she's in the Comic-Con scene.
Yeah. So I mean, they've all been like, screw this movie.
Well,
Yeah.
I got to say, though, I got to hand it to both of you. I think you both found common ground. I think you were both pretty
Yeah, we
civil.
both fucking hated this movie.
And I think that
That was the
if
common ground.
Opinions, but we both hated it.
But we
If the two of
came to
you-
the same thing. Like, we didn't like this movie.
if the two of you can find peace through hate, maybe we can live in a world without war.
I don't know if we're going that far.
True hate is forever.
Oh, there you go.
Hate
Well-
is love. Love is hate.
Love is hate. Okay. So to kind of wrap this live up here, because I don't think we got any questions. I don't think there are any questions coming in our live. That's okay. That's okay. This will be the last time we do a live.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a
world.
lot, jerk.
So sorry.
It also could be our internet connection. I don't care. But anyway, Christine, since you're on the show, what is going on with you? Where can people find out more information about you on the internets?
Well, I'm like the worst millennial ever when it comes to technology, but I am on Instagram as Christy Starkey, Christystarkey. Right now, I don't really have much going on. I do have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer that's spread to other parts of my body, so it's hard to.
Humble brag.
Yeah, it's hard to dedicate, something to a schedule. But right now, we're here at the Erie Horror Fest, and this man wrote and directed a film.
You produced it.
I produced and also acted in, and this is
I
going
did
to
some
be
stuff too. I helped deal with the wind.
Yes, you did.
Honestly,
you worked harder than
wind
anyone else because of that wind.
Fucking wind.
But I'm looking forward to it. Our showing is tomorrow.
That's right.
And we're all going to see it.
That's right. That's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
John, what about you? Where can people find you on the internet?
Facebook, Instagram, and over on YouTube, JDubs Video Nasties. Be on the lookout for my So Many Questions Halloween H2O. I really want to know what the fuck Michael Myers did for 20 years, and I'm going to write a diary for him. So don't miss that out.
You're going to write a diary?
Yeah. The Michael Myers Diary, read by John Wollscroft.
Oh.
And then, the summer of 90, I got a job working at Arby's.
Arby's, they have the meats.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, be on the lookout for that. And if you do go to JDubs Video Nasties and you like my stuff, do the subscribe and the bell and all that stuff, because so many people go and they don't actually subscribe or click the notifications.
What the hell's up with that?
Yeah.
What the hell's up with that?
And if you do like it, or you do have an opinion, or you don't like it, leave a comment. Again, that can only help. Don't not do that if you feel like doing it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, as for this podcast, if you've liked this podcast, please do me a favor. This is really important. Share it with a friend. Share it with your buddy. Okay? If you are a fan of The Crow, or you, like us, kind of went into it being like, this remake is going to fucking suck, and sure enough, it did. Share this episode with your friends. You know, you will enjoy the banter. Okay? You might learn something. On top of that, you can follow us at cinemapsychoshow.com/follow. Okay, you can click and you'll see all our little podcast app there, and you can click and follow, not subscribe. Okay, and on top of that, okay, you can also, if you're watching us here on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow, hit that like, do all of the things, smash the little bell, because the fact of the matter is, we put this podcast together, and if no one does that, no one will listen to it and view it. Okay, the algorithm hates us. Okay, I don't know why they have problems with us, but our stuff doesn't get shown. Okay, and we're doing a lot of really cool stuff. So do all that stuff. It helps us out. And with that said, we will see you next time.
The New Crow, starring Tommy Wiseau. Ha ha ha! I'm coming to avenge you. Ha ha ha!